My name is Dave Whitchurch. I'm a volunteer guide at Bletchley Park. And what Bletchley Park mostly is about is the way the code breakers broke the German Enigma code during the war. And this is a World War II Enigma machine. The machine, even now, it still works well. The biggest problem was the operators. But let's go back to the machine. It consists of 3 rotors in the machine. This come from a box that had 5 rotors in, so every rotor is wired up differently. There's 26 electrical contacts this side, leading to 26 the other side, but A doesn't go to A, B doesn't go to B. They all change as they go through the machine. So what happens? I press a key, for example, S. Not going to work again. H. Now that's got click round 126. I press A again. D. The rotor went round 126. Press it again. I think that's something that didn't light up. L. Get the idea. Every time I press a key, that goes 126, and the rotor goes keeps clicking round. It just lights up a lamp. It will not encode the key I'm holding down. That's the point. For some reason, the Germans didn't consider this a problem. The number of combinations you can get out of this machine are astronomical, so they didn't consider it a problem at all. But of course, it's a weakness. Anything that won't do something is a weakness, and that's one major weakness we discovered and exploited to the fullest. I'll explain that later on the tour. Now, Germans didn't have one code for Germany for the day, or a key list as it's called. Everyone and their dog had one. Army, Navy, everywhere, Air Force, everywhere, police, Gestapo, railways, they all had their own codes. And a code is the way you set up this machine for the day, for the next 24 hours. What rotors go in, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, the start position for each rotor, and how you set up the stecker board. The stecker board is a substitution. I can change A to L, P to R, whatever. Now, substitution codes are very easy to work out, but not when they work in combination with these 3 rotors going round. You may have noticed it's quite stiff to press a key, so you can't touch type. This was before RSI was invented. They're laid out like a keyboard, and that's it. Messages tended to be quite short, which is a very good thing in codes. If you make it as short as possible, it makes it very difficult for the code breakers to work out. Be an A4 version of this. 8th of June today, so we take day 8. The rotors in the machine will be 5, 1 and 3. The start positions for the rotors will be 01, 21 and 17. Forget all that for the time being, but let's go to the stecker board. We put F to N, L to P, B, P, R, X, E, V, O, T, L, Q, C, H, I, P, K, Y. So there's substitution one's in. And for a bit of a laugh, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they'd introduce another one. And at 10 o'clock at night, just before changeover, another one. These are indicator groups which are set up quite different. You get the idea. When you say breaking the code, what they're going to do is find out what this line reads. Once they've done that, they can emulate our own machines to think it's an Enigma, and the code will fall to bits. But they gave us a diagram, so we've got 2 Enigma machines and all this paperwork. And Turing was looking at this. Who else? I thought, God, what a fantastic idea. That is brilliant. But I can develop that. And you come up with this, the Turing bomb. Bomber now. Gordon Welshman, another crack cryptanalyst here, just as good as Turing. They got together and redeveloped it even further. So you can imagine Turing, he's got the back of an envelope with all this on. You know, goes to his boss, Commander Dennison, and says, the Polish bomber said, that's a brilliant idea, but I can do something much better than that. And he produces his envelope. So, you can imagine Dennison says, yeah, right, fine, yeah, you tell me it's going to work, but how much is it going to cost? Oh, 150,000. What? I mean, it would have bought a light battle cruiser then. Of course, Turing being Turing, got the money.
Concerned To give it its full title, it's known as the Lorentz Schussel-Susatz 42, more commonly referred to as just the Lorentz SZ 42. Schussel-Susatz in our language is key or cipher attachment. That's what it was. It was a cipher attachment used with a standard teleprinter. And the Germans were using them to encipher their radio teleprinter communications. Now these radio teleprinter links radiated out from Germany to the high commands in the occupied and Axis countries. You'll notice it's got a bank of 12 rotors along the front of it, which had to be set up into a ground setting, and then different start positions used each time a message was encrypted through it. The way it was done was to use a piece of equipment called an undulator. And this rather antiquated looking piece of Victorian brassware is an undulator. And basically all an undulator is a pen recorder that traced out that on a narrow paper tape which was called slip. And we've got some on the paper there. You can see the narrow paper tape with the squiggly line down the centre. That's the sort of trace you've got. Okay. Now, because of the amount of radio teleprinter communications being used by the Germans, it became necessary to open up a Y station for this specialised work. And this was at Knockholt down at Kent. Now,
That's getting up to 6 hours on a Mark II Colossus in World War II, going over and over and over the ciphertext, analysing it statistically. Every time it goes round the reading of the tape's got a join. Now in that interval, it's done 6,000 characters, right? And it's done the Boolean calculations between the patterns and the ciphertext to find the actual settings of the wheels. When it's found the settings, they come out of a typewriter here, and when you've got all 12 settings out, then you go to the tunny machine, plug them up, read in the ciphertext, and if you've got it right, out comes the German decrypt and the teleprinter alongside the tunny machine. Now here's a decrypt from late 1944. It's got rather an unusual little section down here. From a German storm and a quartermaster in Germany, in the war, and it says, in German, if you don't send me documentation, I won't send you the goods. Have you heard storm? Mind you, there was a good reason for that. The order was for 200 sets of German tank tracks destroyed in the Battle of Kursk in Russia. And I think for an order that size, I'd have wanted some documentation. Now, to convince Hitler the attack was coming across the Straits of Dover and not in Normandy. Now, deception campaigns were all very well. It's very nice when you know the enemy has bought them. And by deciphering the messages with the aid of the Mark II Colossus, we found that Hitler was convinced the attack was coming across the Straits of Dover, and he was keeping 2 German divisions in Holland and Belgium. And that gave Eisenhower and Montgomery the leverage for the success of D-Day, because those divisions couldn't get back through Germany in time to reinforce a counterattack against the invasion in Normandy. So a very important contribution by the first Mark II, and then they ordered 9 more of them, 10 of them here in Bletchley Park, and number 9 was actually in this room where the team and I had rebuilt Colossus. And they were very successful. By the end of the war, they were 10 colossi were deciphering 300 messages a week, and these were top-grade messages from the whole of the German High Command. By the end of the war, this section, the numerary here, had decrypted 63 million characters of high-grade text. The whole of the German High Command, a more or less open book on the German High Command post-D-Day, and a very significant contribution to shortening the war. Now, but at the end of the war, they were all dismantled. And they were dismantled to keep a very important secret. And the secret was that we knew how to break a cipher as strong as the Lorentz cipher. That's about 1 million times stronger than Enigma as a cipher. And during the war, we told the Russians we could break Enigma. We never told the Russians we could break Lorentz. And with the Cold War coming up, we didn't want to find out. I mean, we thought that the Russians might seize Lorentz SS-42 cipher machines and believe they were completely unbreakable. 2 colossi escaped and went to GCHQ in Cheltenham. They were assembled there, and they ran there till 1961. And then they were dismantled, and all the documentation was burnt. And the whole thing was kept absolutely secret. That was the basis of the secret, the breaking of the Lorentz cipher and the particular mathematical methods used in pattern extraction on breaking the Lorentz cipher. As an indicator of that, the final report on the breaking of the Lorentz cipher was only declassified in 2002, so it kept secret for a very long time indeed.